What we're going to do here is we're going to show you the 5 fastest growing counties, the 2 counties that are losing population, and 3 trends that show Utah is changing fast. From 2010 to 2020, Utah gained more than 500,000 residents, an 18% increase. And these 5 counties have grown the most since 2010. Wasatch County by 41%. Washington County, which is the fastest growing in the last year, gained 36% over 10 years. Morgan County, 31%. Utah County, 29% to its already big population. And Tooele County added 25%. 2 counties lost residents in 10 years. Emery County lost 3%, about 350 people. And tiny Daggett County shrunk 5%, about 50 people, though they saw a little growth last year. The first of 3 trends changing Utah, we're seeing fewer babies and more moving vans. 10 years ago, Utah had 38,500 more births than deaths, but more people left than moved in. Our growth was entirely about birth rate. In this past year, that birth over death number was down 11,000, and 25,000 more people moved in than out, almost equal growth from both sources. The second trend changing Utah County. Until this year, Salt Lake County saw more natural growth than Utah County. In 2020, Salt Lake still had more births, but Utah County's very young population had fewer deaths. And the third trend, migration to Washington County. They more than doubled Salt Lake's total migration last year, and Utah County gained even more. A really amazing thing about that last thing, Washington County, put in perspective, they are about 6 times smaller than Salt Lake County, and still they had double the number of people who moved in. That's extraordinary growth. And really important to say, the folks at the Kem C Gardner Policy Institute work really hard on this with the Utah Population Committee to put these numbers together. We're lucky to have them. Live in studio, Max Roth, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Well, I'll tell you what, the statistics don't lie. People like the sunshine, Breck.
And the cold and the snow. We need more of that.
Yeah, we're getting the cold, we're getting the sunshine, limited on the snow department there. Hopefully that's going to change, but we're not going to see that change as we look towards tomorrow and heading into the weekend. It's going to be clear, as that's what we saw today, not a cloud around right before we ended the day there in Moab. This was the view, and this is a similar scene statewide. Right now in downtown Salt Lake City, we're looking towards downtown Salt Lake City. It doesn't seem as lit up here from our Intermountain camera, but calm conditions, air quality not bad. It is cold already. We're freezing in Ogden, low 30s in Preston at this hour, already down in the mid-20s in Park City. Currently we're tracking in the 30s throughout Utah County, as well as we turn over towards eastern Utah, Green River, low 30s in Moab. And right now in St. George, you're at 49 degrees. Now, wind situation across the state, well, as we look for northern Utah, of course, we had more of a concern yesterday with those canyon winds. Not the case right now. Maybe near the mouths of the canyon, you might still find some breezes there, but no advisories in place. And statewide, we're good to go, except southeastern Utah, still finding some wind gusts in excess of 20 miles per hour just south of Moab. But as we're looking for tonight, dipping down to about 20 degrees. Many spots as we move towards northern Utah will be in the teens. So a chilly night. It looks to be clear starting off Friday. But with these cold temperatures, that's definitely a sign that we might be setting up these valley inversion. And what does that mean as we move into the weekend as far as the haze is pertaining to? We'll talk about that coming up in just a few minutes.
See you soon, Breck. Thank you. The historic Cotton Bottom restaurant in Holiday reopened today. There have been some setbacks because of the pandemic during the remodeling process. And the owners there say they're really not anxious about opening in this economic climate. But as Fox 13's Erin Cox, she was there. She tells us the first customer was happy to step inside.
There's an old bar on a street corner.
No one knows all the history.
Some believe its doors first opened in 1955.
The Nelson family owned it first.
A place many Utahns grew up eating at.
Since the 70s, I've known about this and been coming here.
And despite all that has happened this year, it still stands.
Pandemic caused us to change our plans.
Jeff Bernard and a few others with Bar X bought Cotton Bottom in, not to completely remake the bar, just to touch it up.
Added French fries. Our liquor license is now a restaurant liquor license, which means all ages can come here.
updated bathrooms, kitchen equipment, the bar area, electrical, plumbing, put in new heating and air conditioning, and freshened up the whole exterior and landscape.
Adding 4 patios on the outside and a pickup window for to-go orders. On the inside are reflections of its rich history.
These tables are original, the bar top's original.
And what it's known for.
Everybody knows about the garlic burgers.
Still on the menu.
We have the same person that's been cooking the garlic burger for 23 years, cooking it today and every day.
Need to have your mask on if you're going to the restroom.
30 minutes before opening, longtime customers waited outside.
My biggest worry right now is we're not going to be able to handle the crowds.
Nervous feelings, good energy. We know we're going to be overwhelmed.
All right, here we go. 11:30.
Another historic day for the bar on the corner.
There's not many places like this.
We think we can provide new life and breathe new life into the Cotton Bottom.
Speaking with the owners, they believe they served at least 70 burgers within the first 40 minutes of being open. They say they're very enthusiastic about their future here. In Holiday, Aaron Cox, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Looks good. A new study from BYU is revealing some good news about the types of hand sanitizers we use when fighting COVID-19. Researchers found that alcohol-free hand sanitizers were just as effective in disabling COVID-19 as hand sanitizers that are alcohol-based. In fact, the study found alcohol-free sanitizers could inactivate COVID-19 in just 15 seconds or less.
Benzalkonium chloride is basically a sort of detergent. And detergents, what they do really well is they break up fats, okay, lipids. And so coronavirus, it has a shell on the inside, but on the outside, it actually has lipids around it.
There we go. Now we know. Very cool. If you'd like more information about the study, go to fox13now.com.
More troubled teen centers are being investigated after accusations of abuse by socialite Paris Hilton were made public. Why the concern is so great here in Utah. Tonight at 9, Fox 13 investigates a serial killer's confession. Earlier this year, Mark Douglas Burns, also known as the Clearfield Rapist, gave his first and only interview to Fox 13 News investigative reporter Adam Herbetz.
Burns sexually assaulted at least 11 victims between 1991 and 2001. He's already been sentenced to 242 years to life in prison in Utah. Tomorrow, he will be sentenced for first-degree murder in Evanston, thanks in part to this exclusive interview. Take a listen.
Do you object to being called a serial killer?
I don't know. I mean, if that's what it is, then that's what it is. It doesn't, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't. If that's what I am, then that's what I am.
Fox 13 News is broadcasting this series now because Mark Burns' confession to Fox 13, they were used in an investigation of brand new crimes that he had never been linked to before. Fox 13 investigates a serial killer's confession. It airs tonight, only on Fox 13 News at 9. And if you have a story you'd like Fox 13 News to investigate, please send an email to iteam@fox13now.com, or you can call our tip line. That number is 801-536-1314.
Troubled teen treatment centers are being investigated across the country, including here in Utah. Utah's Disability Law Center is looking into the industry here after what it calls a growing number of reports and allegations of abuse. While this is a nationwide issue, there is special concern here in Utah, where these kinds of treatment centers have flourished.
With anything, there's going to be certain places that are bad actors and those that do help teens. And so the Disability Law Center will be looking at those facilities that have kind of raised red flags and that have had those allegations of abuse and mistreatment.
Utah is home to over nearly 100 youth treatment centers. They reportedly bring hundreds of millions of dollars into the state's economy.
Why am I using a selfie camera to do a live shot outside of BYU? Well, it has to do with the stars. I'm Fox 13 Spencer Joseph. I'll tell you about the selfie camera that's making its way up there from here coming up.
The BYU Coastal Carolina football game is a go. We'll hear from BYU Athletics Director Tom Homo and the players on their feelings of this top 25 matchup.
If you're just joining us here, some of the top stories we're following this evening. Salt Lake City police have released hours of new video and audio and hundreds of photographs and documents giving us new insight into the Mackenzie Lueck murder investigation. It includes video of convicted killer Ayula Ajayi's police interrogation. We'll have a breakdown of what else this evidence entails tonight on Fox 13 News at 9. Governor Herbert is keeping statewide public health orders in place for now. A COVID-19 vaccine could arrive in our state by December 15th. The first vaccines would go to frontline healthcare workers. Public health officials continue to urge people to not let down their guard as we get closer to Christmas. And both the Division of Wildlife Resources and UDOT are keeping wildlife safe near highways with wildlife crossings. The well-known Parley's Canyon overpass recently got national attention, but this past year, 6 new wildlife crossings were built. If funding is available, there are plans for more wildlife crossings next year.
This is impressive. BYU will soon launch its very own satellites into outer space with a very special mission. Fox 13 News got a look inside the lab where those satellites were developed.
Spencer Joseph joins us live from Provo this evening. And Spencer, this is groundbreaking.
It really is. And I'm using the selfie camera on my iPhone to go live, kind of breaking the fourth wall there for viewers. Now, the selfie camera aspect of this is really important to those kids at BYU because they developed an out-of-this-world selfie camera they'll be sending up to the stars.
2, 1, 0. Ignition.
Iconic images like these have inspired generations of those looking to the stars and wondering what's out there.
Well, I was young and I looked at the stars and I heard what NASA did, and kind of be one of the few who's built something that's been in space is something pretty special.
But now, thanks to some brilliant minds at BYU, there's a whole new way to get these pictures from outer space.
We're launching 2 spacecraft, which we call the Passive Inspection CubeSats, or PICS for short. But then along came a smart aleck and said, oh, it's a selfie camera, and it's stuck.
This is Dr. David Long, the head of the program, though he admits his students actually rarely let him touch their work on the satellite. 2 PICS satellites will soon be launched into orbit. They're 2 test satellites with a very important practical application.
If you want to sort of inspect your spacecraft, take a picture of it from the outside. Right now, that's virtually impossible. So you can take our little spacecraft along for the ride, and when you want to get a picture, you just throw one out the window, essentially. It takes pictures. It drifts away.
So this is it. You can see the cameras on each side of it, and it's only about the size of my hand, weighs about 2 pounds, and soon ones just like this will be traveling the Earth at 15,000 miles an hour. And launching these into space will be a first for BYU.
This is all our design, all built by undergraduate students at Brigham Young University.
Students like Ben Francis, who are looking forward to launch date.
Coming up to launch, I know I'll probably have a few sleepless nights getting ready for this.
And then when we get the first data back, our first contact, this thing orbits around, we'll see it once a day, downlink data, get our pictures down.
So for the whole team, soon that childhood dream of reaching the stars will be a reality.
That's going to be an exciting day. The students have worked for a long time to make that happen.
There's always an opportunity for anybody. And it's more up to you what you decide you want it to be versus what the world is telling you it should be.
So that launch date, well, it's December 19th through the 20th. It'll be piggybacked off a Virgin Galactic flight to then take those into outer space, where students here will be on the ground waiting with bated breath to get that first data. Live at Brigham Young University, Spencer Joseph, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Very, very cool. Best of luck to BYU and their mission that's up and coming. It's been a light winter in Utah so far. You know this. And right now it is causing a lot of concern. The Utah Avalanche Center says with the light amount of snow that we've seen, there is an increased risk in avalanches. Kind of ironic how this works. They say the longer a single layer of snow sits, the more susceptible it is to sliding. And with how long the few layers have already been sitting, they say a fresh sheet of snow would increase avalanche risk substantially. The center does say it is safe in the mountains for the time being.
And the reason for that is because we don't have any snow on the forecast, Breck.
No, there's not. We desperately need it. Of course, with many of the ski resorts opening up or trying to open up, Good for our skiing business here across the state, but good for our snowpack, good for our reservoirs as we look towards the spring and summer. So many reasons why we're anxiously waiting for these storms to roll through. In addition, as we're looking towards the weekend, as high pressure is going to build in, we start having more of a concern with air quality that we need to talk about. Right now, though, we're in Salt Lake City. We're at 34 degrees. Light winds, wind chill at 28 degrees. Visibility is good. And again, air quality throughout most of the Wasatch Front, northern Utah. We've been in this good category. Tomorrow, it's a transition, becoming worse with these cold temperatures overnight as we're expecting to find clear skies for this evening. Yeah, air quality becoming that more of a concern into that moderate category. And it looks like we'll stay that way throughout the weekend, but into next week, we could be moving for some locations into that unhealthy situation. Right now, though, it is clear. High pressure is still dominating. Now, we had that little disturbance, changing the flow off as we looked yesterday, bringing in those canyon winds. We've turned that off. But again, we're not bringing in the clouds. No moisture across most of the western United States. That high pressure in place, keeping the storms away. Under that high pressure, though, it is allowing for more of a northeasterly flow. They've been mentioning those Santa Ana winds with wind warnings in place towards Southern California. That'll be the situation here for the next 24 hours. For us, though, it's just keeping us dry. And temperatures will be warming up. Now, our eye turns to this storm that's going to be tracking, moving further west, hitting the Pacific Northwest, and then it digs southward. It kind of positions itself right near Nevada. It doesn't actually move through the state, but it will kick up the winds as we go from Saturday to Sunday, which hopefully will help out the air quality situation, at least for a day or two, as we go at the end of the weekend and the beginning of next week. But let's talk about the possibility of seeing some snow. There is a chance. And yeah, it's a slight chance, but the possibility is there as we look at some of the long-range computer models. Let's take a look at those models. I've moved the clock as we go for tomorrow into Saturday. Nothing. I mentioned that storm that moves through Nevada. It hits, looks like Sunday, but as you can see, the precipitation lacking, and it's not hitting the state. It will bring in some clouds, though, as we go into Sunday, Monday, as well as that digs further southward. Then we're clear into next week. We're going to see a little weak disturbance move through. Looks like Wednesday bringing some cooler air, but again, the moisture, as we've been seeing over the past several dry, cool fronts pushing through, it just doesn't have that direct hit. Now, looking at next week, December 10th through December